Hi, this is Greg DeGarian. I'm here with Mark Brado, Executive Vice President of Tempworks. Mark and I have known each other for, I think, 7 or 8 years now. Mark's been doing work for me. He's actually been Executive Vice President for quite a while now. Mark comes from a lot of great experiences. He's done everything from Executive Vice President of Sales to negotiating coach to technical staffing consultant, salesperson. Mark, how you doing?
Good. I'm doing great.
Let's talk about the staffing business, especially the technical staffing business right now. Tempworks has mostly done business with the commercial staffing companies, but it looks like the technical business is turning around. We're getting a lot of interest in our different, what I would call higher-end employee products, the applicant portal, technical staffing, resume searching, integrated email, and so forth.
Yes.
What do you see going on in the technical market? I mean, you saw, I think, some of it at its worst after the crash of 9/11.
Yeah, I think a lot of the big companies are they're going back to their original suppliers for this talent, and I think they do that because they get, first of all, I think a better quality person. Secondly, they have, and obviously the reason for any type of temporary business is they don't have any tie for long term. I think what we're seeing from the interest in Tempworks has more to do with the internal efficiencies of those technical staffing companies, because they've got to find a way to be able to search massive quantities of resumes in order to get the right candidate. They've got to look at all of their internal processes, I think, and try and keep that paperwork down to a minimum and to eliminate some of those internal positions and processes that they really can't make a profit on. But I know that the profitability is within that group. It's always been there. It went away for a while, but it'll be back. And those are great markets to be in, and I think that we can really add a large component of efficiency to those companies we work with.
Okay, very good. I mean, in my travels, I meet a lot of staffing company people. The challenge I'm hearing them talk about is margins on the technical. From a negotiation perspective, as an organization, as a sales organization, what do you say? I mean, the customer comes and says, "Oh, you have to comply with our VMS program. You can't talk to our hiring managers. You have to lower your rate." And we have all these tricks or gatekeeping things keeping the staffing company, the recruiter down. What advice do you have for the recruiting professional?
Well, I'll give you Brado's advice, and then I'll give you something that maybe is a little softer than that. My advice is just go home, tell them I'm not interested, I won't play, and find companies that are willing to deal with you without going through that rigmarole. And that's easy to say unless a ton of your business depends on those types of associations and relationships. I think where you're forced to go into that type of a situation, all you can do is keep your head up. I mean, you've got to be able to keep your margins high, and when you're questioned about why you're more expensive than anybody else, you have to tell the truth. And the truth is because we can get it. Because everyone knows what they're worth in the marketplace. And my competitor who comes in with a very low rate may well not be around next month to take care of you because of it. We know what it takes to operate our business, and that's what it's going to be. Now, none of this will change until the mindset of the hiring authorities changes, and I know that from my own experience, nothing can be more maddening and just anxiety-ridden than to have to deal with these kinds of situations. But I think that if you can, you have two ways to go about it. You can sell little and keep your margins high. And that means that you're going to have to do more research, but it also means in more work up front to find those customers. But you'll also be able, when it's done, you have a smaller and more loyal customer base. If you want growth and you want high revenues, then you're going to have to discount. That's just the laws of supply and demand, and you're going to have to go out there and compete with the other companies. Sometimes you can pick up an advantage just through your relationships. Sometimes you pick up an advantage through the caliber of the people that you place. Either way, it's a difficult scenario, but there are great rewards for any company that's involved in IT staffing, especially from the standpoint of making that customer happy, long-term relationships with them, and being able to put out a product and a level of expertise within your staff that really makes a difference.
Very good. As far as sales techniques, what do you find has worked the best? The telephone, mailers, website, internet, personal calls. What has I know you've done a lot of that. So what's worked for you?
Well, the market is the whole field of selling has changed. I mean, 20 years ago, you could walk into a building, lay a card on a table. There was somebody to talk to you. You could get in. You could actually meet with these executives. And I think part of that was because the companies that they worked in had more levels of management in them. They weren't quite so lean. These days, everything's just been flattened out to the point where if you don't have an appointment, no one's going to see you. If no one sees you, you can't sell anything to them. So the question then becomes, how do you get their interest? My take on it is not that you make 1 million phone calls and you send 1 million letters out and you make 1 million cold calls. My take is that you need to have enough presence out in your marketplace so that when those companies that have a need for your product or service are ready to buy, you are included in the group that they go to, and hopefully you're number one. So what does that mean? Well, today we have email that takes the place of phone calls. We have voicemail that manages to make sure that no one ever talks to anybody they don't want to talk to. How do you reach them? You've got TiVo on your television set, so you don't have to watch any commercials. So you have to think like your customer thinks. Where are they going to go to get their information? Is it going to be a trade journal? Is it going to be a newspaper? Is it going to be a blog site? Is it going to be some industry information source? And that's where you need to be. The cold calling isn't going to work. And for those of you who have large groups, sales forces, if you think that your salesmen are going to be more productive because they're making more calls, you're wrong. It's your responsibility as an employer to provide the leads to those salespeople so that the time that they spend during their day is maximized, that they're talking to interested prospects all day, every day, and they're not involved in the drudgery of trying to get those prospects interested. That is a company responsibility that can be done through other fashions, through the internet, through direct mail, through advertising, through trade shows, to bring that customer base closer to them. To my way of thinking, that's what's happened. That's the change that's come about from the mid-'70s to the year 2006 and beyond. We're going to have to be smarter. We're going to have to be craftier about the way that we go about garnering prospective business. And Greg, I think a lot of it, you somewhat intuitively understood that because those were some of the processes that were in place here at Tempworks. And I've been able to see that those work extremely well. And I've been at this a long time. They say you can't teach an old dog new tricks, but you have to look at what's going on in the marketplace and accept it and embrace it.
Very good. Mark Barato, Executive Vice President of Tempworks, with Greg DeGarian, President of Tempworks. Mark, thank you very much.
You're welcome.